Michaela Vernava alongside NESN Fuel's Ben Watanabe, and we have Skyping in Ricky Stenhouse Jr., driver of the number 17 Ford for Roush Fenway Racing, and coming off a huge win, first career win at Talladega. Ricky, has it sunk in yet?
It has. It's cool being able to talk about it, throughout the last couple days, and I'm going to continue to talk about it at least till we get to Kansas this weekend for our next race. But it's been pretty fun so far, and being able to celebrate with the guys at the shop today was pretty cool too.
Well, a lot of drivers, after they've secured a spot in the playoffs, which you now have secured a spot in the Monster Energy Series playoffs, are asked how their approach to the season changes now going forward. This is the first time you've been in this situation, though. Is there a different vibe? How has this changed the feeling around the shop and among the team?
The feeling around the shop is, really, really good right now. But as far as our strategy and the things that we're going to look at going forward the rest of the season, I don't think we're going to play it too much different than what we have in the past month and a half. I feel like this is the best month and a half I've had in my Monster Energy Sprint Cup career. So we're going to try to keep sticking to the game plan we have had and continue to carry the momentum throughout the season and making sure that when playoff time comes, we're ready. There's no, sitting. There's no hanging out and waiting for the playoffs like in other sports. We got to race every race.
Well, guys, I don't know about you, but I find watching the celebrations in Victory Lane quite exciting. And Ricky, your dad did not want to miss out on those celebrations. And this isn't the first time he's gone to great lengths to make it to Victory Lane or to celebrate with you. How meaningful is that?
It means the world to me to have my dad there. I was bummed my mom and my sister couldn't be there. They were there on Saturday. I had to get home on Sunday, but to have him, make it to Victory Lane and celebrate, it's not just the hard work that I've put in or my team. My dad's put a lot of work in to get me at the position that I'm in now, and we grew up racing together, and he took me up and down the road, and we spent every weekend at a racetrack. And he was racing when I was born, and I went and watched him until I started racing. And then when I started racing a lot, he really kind of shifted the focus from him racing to me racing, and that's what helped me continue my career.
And you seem to have a pretty big, strong support system. We also saw Danica Patrick in Victory Lane with you. Once all the chaos and celebrations sort of died down, what did she have to say?
Just really proud of me for getting our first win. I think she knows how much work I put into it and go to the race shop, and how much I talk to my crew chiefs and engineers of what we need to do to make our cars faster and our team better. And she knows how much work goes into it and how hard it is to do. This sport is tough to win at and to compete at a high level every week. So she knows exactly where I'm coming from when I can say we finally finished it off a weekend.
So watching this race, Ricky, on TV or whether on the radio, it was really palpable, the closing laps, the excitement on the commentators' voices as far as what you were doing. And I know Roush Fenway hasn't really been in the conversation much the last couple of years, but these last couple of days, have you been surprised at how many people have come out and said, we were really rooting for you there at the end?
Yeah, it was really cool. I felt a lot of support there, being at in Alabama, right next to my home state of Mississippi, and having a lot of home state fans cheering for me was really neat. But then looking at Twitter and Instagram and seeing all the posts are really awesome. That's one thing I'm very thankful for this day and age, is to see how many fans were cheering for you. You're able to see that right there with all the social media that we have today. So super glad that we had fans that stuck behind us. Like you said, it hasn't been the best couple of years, but we're ready to make that change and continue our winning ways, hopefully.
You mentioned as a Mississippi fan. Was there any satisfaction going into the backyard of Tuscaloosa there and coming away with a win?
That's always nice. We were. It was funny. Friday night in Talladega, we were out on the boulevard hanging out, and AJ McCarron was down there with us, and he's actually from Mississippi, so it's nice that it was cool talking to him, and he was pulling for us. Sent me a text after the race, so it was cool to go to Alabama, and I didn't wear my Ole Miss helmet, but I do have one.
Now, you've obviously mentioned, we've mentioned your dad, Danica, everyone. I think you mentioned, Kyle Larson also. What did it mean to be able to celebrate that win in the good times with so many people who have been, sticking with you when you weren't running as well the last few years?
Yeah, it's nice. I think, to me, one of the cool parts about, winning at Talladega is all the other drivers and competitors that came up to us, whether it be in victory lane or on the racetrack, coming up and waving at me, and that was a cool feeling. And us as friends in the sport know that it takes a lot to win the races. You can't just be a great driver. You got to have a good car. You got to have a good team. You got to mesh well together to get it all done. And to see it finally all come together for us, and to have a lot of your competitors excited and happy for you makes you feel pretty good.
One guy, obviously, who wasn't able to be there, but you've talked a lot about him the last few months, Brian Clausen. I was reading a story that said, his death led to maybe like 1,000 lives saved through organ donation and all. Just what did that mean, to you, as you said, parking it for him?
Yeah, it's the biggest thing that Brian always, he won hundreds of races over the last couple of years, and he'd always send out a tweet afterwards and said, he parked it in victory lane. So for us to be able to do that, I've been talking with his family, over the past almost year now, about, the day that I finally would be able to park it in victory lane, and let people know that, Brian, continued to help people and put smiles on people's faces when he wasn't even with us anymore. So they've got a big Driven to Save Lives .org campaign in honor of Brian's name that they just announced at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's going to be a part of every event at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So the Brickyard 400, when we're there, they're going to have a big campaign around that weekend. So it's pretty cool to see all the lives that he's helped save.
Yeah, right. Did you have anything? I wanted to ask some racing questions. I didn't know if you had any other questions before I.
No, go ahead.
All right,
absolutely.
Cool. I wanted to ask you about the Indianapolis too when you get a second. But one thing I've learned when you're like me and not very smart is if you just say a bunch of numbers, people will think you're smart. So I was going through numbers of this year compared to last year, and a couple of them really stood out to me. One is that both you and Trevor have shot up as far as the amount of time spent on the lead lap. Last year you were both kind of in the 60 percentile, and now you guys are up 90. I mean, I think Trevor's one of the best. He's second highest as far as staying on the lead lap. The other thing I noticed was early versus late. Last year, late laps you were 21st, early laps you were 21st. It was like there was no getting better. You were kind of back there the whole time. This year, early on the race, 19th, but late laps you're running 11th. And so I guess kind of how much does that speak to the performance, improvements you guys have made this year, that, over the course of the race, you guys are actually getting better. It's not like you're just sitting there and there's not adjustments being made. There's not things that are getting you up to the front. Yeah,
I mean, you bring up a really good point. That's something that we've really tried to focus in on at our shop is, you talked about us kind of starting the races. We're around, the 19th, and then we're working our way forward to the top 10. And, we've really put a lot of emphasis on qualifying over the last couple weeks. And, Richmond a couple weeks ago, we qualified fourth, finished fourth. We qualified first here at Talladega and won Talladega. So we know it's really important to qualify. So we got to get our qualifying, continue to get it better. But, I think for, as far as compared to last year, it's really just, we've revamped our whole organization, bringing a couple new people in, but really just kind of shuffling some people around, giving them different jobs and different roles. And they've really excelled at them. And I feel like everybody's meshing really well, and we're building faster race cars. And whenever you build faster race cars, they're easier. My job is to go out and run well with them. So, it's been a lot of hard work by everybody at our shop.
You came in obviously, with off two nationwide victories, and it took you a while. Was there, honestly, did it turn out? Was it harder in Cup than you thought it was going to be when you came, out of nationwide at the time?
Honestly, to start out, I thought, it was going to be a fairly easy transition. I don't remember exactly Daytona or, exactly where we finished in every race, but I remember qualifying, 12th at Phoenix and, 6th at Las Vegas, and really running well early in the season and almost winning the first time we went to Kansas. Which we're going to be going to Kansas this weekend. I thought, man, I'm going to get my first win here pretty soon. We led 50-something laps at Kansas that race, and the caution came out when we were on pit road. We didn't end up winning, and then we kind of started struggling after that. And then I was like, well, we'll get it back. But over the last couple years, we just haven't had what we needed to go out and compete for wins. So to start my career in Cup, I thought, it was going to be a fairly easy transition. But, once you're in the grind every weekend, you realize how hard it is to win these Monster Energy NASCAR Cup races. And it's something that you got to put a lot of focus on. You can't make mistakes. You got to have a good pit crew. You got to have good race cars, and you got to put it all together.
No, I mean, we're going to get ahead of ourselves here. I'm going to get ahead of myself because at the end of this month, there is a pretty exciting thing going on in racing. Fernando Alonso from F1 is going to come over and do the Indy 500. I don't know how much of that sort of open wheel you follow, but did you have any thought, or is that something that obviously you have it marked on the calendar for your race that day? Is that something that you're going to keep an extra eye on? And how much do you usually follow the IndyCar and the Indianapolis 500?
Yeah, so I think Memorial Day weekend is, it's a great race weekend. It starts with Monaco early in the morning, and we're racers. We love watching any racing. We're willing to race anything or try any of it. So, heck, I'd want to race a Formula One car at Monaco. I'd want to race an Indy car at the Indy 500. But, it's an awesome day of racing, and we cap it off with the Coca-Cola 600. Which is our longest race of the year. It's an intense race. You got to have a car that is really good. That, like you said, you got to be able to tune on it and make it better throughout the race. But we'll be paying attention to Indy. The Indy 500, kind of gets in the way of, or I should say, our appearances kind of get in the way of watching the end of the Indy 500. So we try to schedule around that, but it's a cool thing that definitely all NASCAR fans pay attention to. Not just because Alonso's going to run it, but it's just a racing spectacle and the greatest day of racing I would say in the year.
It's been tough to find anything with an engine that you would not drive. Is that something? Have you ever thought about maybe jumping over at some point in your career?
I'd love to try it. You don't want to do it just to do it. You would have to make sure all the pieces were in the right place, and you had a great opportunity to go run well. Our season is tough and it's long, and you got to grind it out. And adding a bunch of IndyCar testing in the month of May is pretty difficult. Our Mays are filled up with 2 races here at home, but it's been done. I thought Kurt Busch did a phenomenal job when he switched over and did the double. I think it's pretty cool. So I'd love to try it sometime.
Great.
Ricky, I want to just end with asking you one last question that's looking forward. And that's, you've mentioned several times now how important it is to have every piece of the team really meshing and clicking so that you're able to fire on all cylinders. In other sports, we see teams go on a run, pick up momentum, and sort of go on a little bit of streak. Happens a lot in hockey, basketball. How can you as a NASCAR driver and as a team use this momentum of this win going forward in this season?
I think it's very important for us to use, the momentum that we got going right now. Like I said earlier, I don't know how else to do it other than, just keep doing what we're doing and making sure that the car that we're taking to Kansas this weekend is better than the car that we had at the previous race. And then on to Charlotte the next week, just to keep improving our cars and, making sure that we're getting better on pit road. I'm getting better at getting in and out of my pit box, and, restarts are good, and not making mistakes on the racetrack. Just making sure you get in the flow and make sure that, we got a long season. It's still a long, a lot of races before our playoffs start, and you got to be ready when the playoffs start. That's for sure. You don't want to just hang out, relax, and come off the bench for the playoffs. So we're gonna put all feet on the floor and all hands on deck, trying to make sure that we continue our performance.
All right, Ricky, well, congratulations again, and thank you so much for your time. Thanks for talking with us.
Thank you. Not a problem.